Hello, everyone. It's Judith Bowtell. I'm your host of Aligned and Thriving, where we explore work-life balance strategies and how busy people, successful people, struggling people, just people in general, make sense of their work and life. And today I am so thrilled because we have Karishma Kasabia, who is one of my heroes. I am so happy to introduce her to you. So Karishma, would you like to say hello?
Hi.
So we'll get into why she's one of my heroes in a little while, but I'll just tell you a little bit about Karishma. Karishma is the founder and designer of Kholo, a women and femmes clothing label based in Melbourne. Karishma has completed a bachelor's and master's in art and design at AUT and Monash, respectively. Having worked at 121 Creative and Melbourne Business School, she then freelanced, which gradually grew into a marketing and design agency called Kish & Co. In 2015, she sold the agency and worked as a marketing consultant for a few select clients till Kholo took over. But somewhere in between all of this, she was nominated for Telstra Businesswoman of the Year, has spoken on several panels about body image, motherhood and business. She's taught embroidery workshops in Melbourne and Sydney, made it into Vogue, had a baby, who is somehow kind of wonderful, and no longer a baby. That's her professional blurb over. But what she says is that life takes you by surprise. Sounds fancy, but personally, I think you'd rather know these bits. I nearly had to expired car retro and got 4 fines from Vic Road in 2021. I had this happen to me in 2018. I'm not driving my car at the moment because same issue. I often drop my son at school in flannel PJs. I find crowds awkward but love being the centre of attention. Ooh, that's a good one. I run a proper business but only learned about pivot tables and what an LCL means in March 2022. I work in fashion and wouldn't know how to contour if my life depended on it. And on her website, she also says you're an introverted extroverted.
Yeah.
And that you are here to, there's a fashion label out there that is loving women just as they are versus making them feel like shit, then I'm in. You loving you is us doing our job right. If we're ever famous for one thing, I want it to be this. For loving you the way your bestie would. And I think that's such a wonderful mantra for the world. So welcome, Karishma, to Aligned and Thriving. In some ways, people said, Judith, this podcast is just an excuse to chat to your friends. And but it's also a chance for me to reach out to people that I admire and see if they'd like to chat to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get lucky. So this is what dating looks like for a 50-year-old married woman. So I can wear Kholo the label when I got these ads on Facebook for these amazing clothes. And I went, oh, they're amazing. They're great. They're fantastic. I don't have the budget at the moment. I'm not trying not to spend money on clothes, etc. But there was one jumpsuit.
Yeah.
And it kept coming back in. And I don't wear jumpsuits. At that time of my life, I was readjusting to the body size I am now. Yeah. And I thought, I'm not a jumpsuit woman. I'm in my 50s. I don't wear jumpsuits. Oh. And it just kept coming back and back. And it was a Julie jumpsuit in night. Yeah. And so it's this black stretch cotton jumpsuit. And I went, bugger it. I think it had a sale. I bought it. Yeah. And because you're buying one thing, you buy a dress, and And so a little bundle from Karishma, and it had lovely messaging, and the clothes were great. And so I just started following the Instagram and the messaging and the whatnot. And I just thought, I'm admiring of you for keeping this, for setting up this business with these principles and of making it seem like such a joyous journey, but a realistic journey for us to join you on.
Yeah.
Do you want to just, normally I don't start here, but let's just start with how Kholo got set up.
Sure.
And what drove that decision for you?
I'd had the design agency and then I had my son. And suddenly, I don't know if this happens for a lot of women or people that do have kids, is that suddenly you're like, wait, I'm dealing with a lot of crap here. I can no longer deal with the crap that I used to have there. And so I pushed to sell it and we sold the design agency. But I'm also someone who can't I find spending a single day at home as a single mom, to me, that is painful. Just not my wiring. And I've made my peace with it. I'm like, that's just not who I am. And so obviously I needed to be doing something. So I explored a few things. And then I used to go to India every year when I was married to my ex-husband. And I'd say to them, buy fabric, because it's very easy to purchase fabric. Take it to a tailor and say, this is what I want you to make. Copy this dress, but use this fabric. So that gave me a little bit of, okay, having this vision to create something. And I was used to being a creative director in the graphic design realm. And this was a creative director in fashion. And then I remember having a counseling session, and my counselor said to me, why don't you just start with one dress? Like, her thing was just start. And obviously I was like, if we're getting patterns done, I need at least 4. If we're getting sizes, we should have at least 8 to 14. And then it did evolve into something. And then the intention, I have to be really honest, I didn't have the clarity of intention that I now have.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I was probably just wanting to design something really pretty and beautiful. And then as it grew, the clarity for what the brand is and represents grew with it. So then I'm not comfortable just having size 10 models in my photo shoot. And it was, wait, why can't I wear my own clothes? I stopped at a 14. I was a 16. And I was like, that's pretty. And then like, not everyone wants silk because you have to dry clean it. So then it was tailoring it to an Australian market.
Yeah.
And I want to wear this kind of crazy wild thing. But I was too scared to make the crazy wild thing because I was like, people aren't going to buy the crazy wild thing. And then people started, I'd test them and be like, hey, this is a bit whack. Let's see if you take it. And because I wanted that form of expression that I couldn't find.
Yeah.
I was like, the more I started being like, I love this and I'm just going to trust that there are people out there that will get this.
Yeah.
And I started more and more and more. And I think probably that's the thing for Kholo, funnily enough, like I'm realizing this as I say it out loud, is that it gets clearer and clearer the further down the path I go. Yeah. And it's everything has led to one thing to another thing, but that's how it came about. And there was a part of me that was strategic where I thought that when you graphic design for someone, you spend 20 hours or 10 hours on something and you are doing it for them. It is a brand that they walk away with. And they have their hopes and visions for this. So it's not self-expression. If you want to do self-expression as a graphic designer, you've got to have a side hobby. And I wanted this to be, I literally was the Leo that I am. I was like, I want to make what I want. And I want to make 100 of it. And then if people want to buy it, if not, they can just go because I want to do what I want to do. It was like this rebellion against the graphic design years. And it was like, I have to deal with my son, and having a relationship with him that is mentally healthy means I can't have other places of drainage or stress because I want to give him that fullness. And if there's conflict in my life, I can handle it from him, but I'm not going to handle it from other places. And he's really good. So I must be bringing my own conflict. But yeah, that's another thing.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. I love this sort of, at the end of the day, I want to do what I want to do.
Yes. Yeah.
And if people want to come along, they come along.
Yeah.
And finding your message as you go. Because when I was speaking to Michelle Grace on an earlier podcast, and she works with people to find their clarity and purpose in their business and how to manage that. And I was saying how when I started, I had a great mentor who said, don't worry about your niche, she'll find you.
Yes. Right, that's so true. Yeah.
And I must admit, after 12 years of doing the career coaching and leadership coaching, I'd always saying I work with creative people. And I do. But then I went back and did a exercise recently of reformatting of my testimonials. And I realized that everybody that I work with is there for some purpose. They work for purpose. Even if it is in a commercial business, they're still doing it for a purpose, which may be I want to make the things I want to wear.
Yes. Yeah.
Or I want to, whatever it is. Yeah. And so I found the connection. But each time you work through it, each time you uncover another layer. Yeah. And it's so rewarding. So let's go back a bit and start this journey. So when you were a child, what did you learn about work and life from your parents or your upbringing?
I think I definitely learned hard work. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. My parents had a corner shop or a dairy in New Zealand and worked very hard as migrants. But then I think a lot of it is, I don't know if the word is symbiosis, but you believe what you're worthy of based on the environment that you're brought up in. So you come to expect something similar even as you walk out of that environment. So because I'd seen my dad be successful, like he migrated multiple times and made a success of himself time and time again.
Wow.
I saw that repetition in my own life. Like I've migrated multiple times and seen how I make it from zero, let's say, to hero, ooh, wanky. But like I rose each time. So every time my subconscious expects it because I'm like, of course you're going to make it through. Of course this is going to work out yourself. The recipe, this is in your DNA. So there's a bit of that repetitive things. And some things I've challenged now where I'm like, you don't have to start from scratch all over again. You can keep this going, keep this growing. So it's unlearning, it's learning the patterns, recognizing them, loving them, that it's such a great skill to have, be able to work hard. But also at the same time, there's grace for rest.
Yes.
And there's grace for saying, hey, I'm worthy. The universe doesn't want me to go nuts. I don't have to lose my shit over this. I can just trust that it's going to work out. So there's a bit of that learning, valuing, appreciating, but then also unlearning and saying, hey, let's forge a new path from this point on for both counters. Yeah. It's wonderful for the base, but I think going forward, I've seen myself being like, okay, how can I change my subconscious patterning so that I unlock new levels?
Great. Yeah. Oh, I love that it's not take the good stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Grow from the good stuff, but
100%.
also have that critical appreciation. So the appreciation of what's there, but also that little bit of, is there a way to grow from? I love that. How do you grow from this?
Yeah.
So what is it that supported you to have this understanding? What are the sort of values, or how did you come to this sort of realization that there may be another way?
I know this is a bit woo, but I did a lot of counseling work when I was in my 20s. And then I started getting a lot more spiritual into understanding meditation. I also looked into the energy of wealth, the energy around abundance, like watching basic YouTube videos or talking to friends. I think I was starting to challenge the paradigm because I'm like, I don't want to live like this. And and oddly enough, I've learned things from people and their experiences along the way. And
let's take a quick break.
Don't miss a single episode, so subscribe to Aligned and Thriving now to unlock a world of inspiration and practical strategies. And if you have subscribed, why not check out our IG account or join our community to navigate your own way to a happier and healthier working life.
I don't know. I feel that your thinking, or our old school thinking, is you have to work hard and then you're worthy. Old school thinking is you have to worry. You have to park a colossal amount aside for tomorrow. So you have to live constantly chasing the tomorrow. And I think there's this real part of me that's fought that. Actually, I've fought that, and I've been like, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to send out. Younger me was like, I'm going to send out so many emails. I'm going to do SEO. And like the list is never ending when you have your own business. So you can go on. And then I had this point where I was like, actually, I surrender. I was like, I don't want to live like that. So do what you will with me. Do what you decide. So there was this kind of, this is what I want to do. I would love to do it, but I also don't want to go mad doing it. So there was that real point of surrender right at the edge. And then literally just stuff would work out for me. Solutions would come, even though I didn't have them 6 months ago, 1 month ago. The solutions would just come because I'd reached this point of I think it's when you say, I don't want this. That's when the universe is, okay, honey's not going to take it. We got to switch it up for her. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a great writer, a great thinker is Lynn Twist. She's an American woman. She's probably in her 60s, 70s now. So of that baby boomer generation where there's plenty of money around. Anyway, she's a fundraiser. She became a fundraiser by accident as a nice middle-class white woman in an affluent area of the US becomes. And she became really good at it. She became really good at talking to rich people about giving her money for other purposes. And her message was something like, man, what are you going to do with that extra few million you've got from selling that business or doing that deal? Are you just going to buy another condo in Aspen or another car? She's like, I could do something so much more interesting with that money. Let me show you my photos from my last trip to Africa where I was working with women in developing communities and things like that. And people would go, oh, okay. It's the, as I used to call it when I was in not-for-profits, the $10,000 fuck off money.
Yeah.
I did a lot of good things with $10,000. 50 grand, here you go. They want to see you again. You've got a lot more than that. I want more. And she said she got this freedom about talking about large amounts of money.
Yeah.
Because she unpacked it from the meaning we give it.
Yes.
Of it means something about you and your personal value. It's just made up.
Yeah. It's just
it's all made up.
Yeah.
And it's all made up. So why not just treat it as energy or whatever you want to call it? Yeah, it's energy that you can facilitate going somewhere that you think is important or not.
Yeah.
And she's developed this whole freedom around it.
Yeah.
And she also used to talk to be brought into International Women's Day, like corporate talks for the women. And she'd do exercises with like executives in multinational companies and say, how many here people think they've got enough at the moment? And not really, oh, no, I don't have enough. I've got to work harder. Work harder. And she'd say, what are you working for? And it's, the nanny, the cleaner, all this stuff. And she's, what about if you didn't think you needed that? She'd unpack that idea of what, not abundance, but more about what sufficiency is. And she said, and part of that came from working with people who have $1 a day, live on, and then what we think we need versus what we actually need.
Yes.
And I think some of that's unpacking of old ways of thinking about money, success, and etc., and being able to go, if what I'm doing is valuable, it will work. Yeah. Or it's not.
If it's not your path, then it's to your detriment anyways.
You're just going to be on the struggle. And it's hard. It's a hard one to move away from particularly when you've been in salaried employment all your life. And you've had parents. My parents grew up during the Depression and the war and things like that. It's hard. But I really, as I said, you are a hero in that you are, I know it's not as easy as it looks on Instagram, but it's just somebody who's gone, I'm forging a principle-based business and I'm making it work.
I don't think of that. That's nice.
The brand is sustainable. Melbourne designed, made in India. But in a very transparent, ethically based way. And the clothes are great. You've got a woman's body or you want that feeling, then you'll find something that will work for you.
100%.
What else fills your life and what supports you to have a life that's not just chained to a sewing machine or chained to a dining table?
I meditate. So I meditate every day. I have very few but quite close friends that really fill my cup. I'm very family based, so very quite close to my siblings and my parents. I don't have a relationship right now, but I do have like really positive masculine energy in my life. And to be really honest, other than dabbling into, obviously I do yoga and gym and a bit of travel. I say gym like I do it a lot, but I have done quite a few sessions now. That's really my life. And I am very intentional about where I spend my time. If I don't want to do it, I'm at the point where I could probably say I never force myself to do it. I say no to people and just trust that those who love me will understand. I can time waste on Netflix of my own choice, but I will not time waste at the cost of anyone, the cost of my happiness. I love cooking for myself. I love homemade food. A very simple life. Like other than a bit of travel here and there with my family, that's it. I'm not like, I'm just not all the things that I suspect a lot of other people fill their life with. And I suppose it's very, for me, my friends do understand that Kholo is probably a really big part of my life. That's so fulfilling that I probably don't seek so much outside of that, because creatively that's really fulfilling. Socially, that's really fulfilling. Like the DMs are flooded. So just having little chats is all I need for a bit of small talk every now and then. But that's really it. I'm so content. I don't know where life will go, but for this season in my life, it is like the perfect mix. I'm so just grateful. I'm like, other than sex with the man, everything else I've got. I'm just yes, I am very satisfied. And I'm like, I can go alone solo. That's fine as well.
There are.
Sure. Yeah, I reckon as women we're really lucky. So I'm just, that's all I'm saying.
But that's an easy solve problem. Part of what we explore here at Aligned and Thriving is the kind of values that underpin creating this life where the balance might not look like what we think work-life balance is going to look like.
Yeah.
But it is actually about having fulfillment and joy in our lives. What do you think the values of your work is, or the values that have underpinned Kholo?
Yeah. I think they're an extension of me, so I'm not really surprised. I think that's just keeping shit very real. I've never been someone to put filters on. To me, a filter in itself is a lie. So to use it is an indication that who you are behind that is likely a lie.
Yeah.
And I think embracing everyone, as much as I don't give everyone my company like one-on-one time, that doesn't mean that I don't have love for everyone or I don't wish the best for everyone. I think in that sense, I love that our brand has got, if men wore expressive clothes like this, then obviously I'd consider designing for them. But that's the only exclusion we have. Yeah. There is no woman or femme under the sun. I've even had a teenager who wants to be on our socials. It's just that sense of that you belong here too. And even the men that do follow us, because there are men that follow us, I think it's for them, it's like eye-opening or appreciation of another lens.
Yeah.
So that inclusivity, that you're all welcome here, is really massive for me. So probably true. You're welcome here. And maybe I think accountability is a big thing because we do have things might go wrong or they might not work out. We do have a pre-order system, which leans on a lot of trust. So it's having that honest dialogue. So I think those three are really important to me. Then there's all the other things like I love my staff. I love my team, treating them really well or like working with love with them. I just messaged, there's a woman who works at our warehouse from time to time because recently her husband's not been well. And she said, hey, I can help out with some evening admin if you'd like. And I texted her and I literally said, just don't forget family first. I think it's those values that are just so like they're traditional. My dad, like I'm very proud. I would love to think that my dad feels proud that she learned that from me. Treating her staff with that kind of love or that care. So just all those like traditional values. I don't know. I think that there's so much more depthful. And agility is lovely, being able to move with the times, but at its all core, I think the old school values, I think there's so much merit to that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's saying inclusivity, where everyone belongs, is love and care in the making of the clothes and for the people who do make the clothes, distribute and market and do all the bits and pieces behind it. If hypothetically someone came along and went, what's next for your journey? I want to buy the label.
Yeah.
You don't need to go into this here. But
I need that. No, that's okay.
What would you do? How would you negotiate that?
It's really interesting. In all honesty, I'd say at this moment, right here, right now, I'm not ready. I know I haven't arrived at a point where I feel. I also realized in January when my son wasn't at home, I was like, Kholo gives me purpose. It gives me a reason to get out of bed that I love. It gives me drive. And I just don't know. That's not to say I wouldn't consider it, but I know what it's cost me to get to here.
Yeah.
And I think I love it so much right now that I energetically probably won't even attract it right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not looking to release it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised. I've thought about it. I looked at Ari the other day and I was like, I wonder if he'll take it on. But the way he acts when he has to pack a few parcels, I'm like, I don't know, this is your game, honey. He's already a pilot. And I was like, yeah, maybe my dash a bit. So I don't know. I really don't know. I think there's a higher chance of someone I work with taking over or like a prodigy. But I just, I don't know. At this stage, it's very precious and holds a lot of meaning in my life right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you definitely feel that when you wear the clothes. Like, they're unique. They're so colourful. And like I said, I've been through body image issues and coming to a much kinder relationship with my body and being able to see representation of women in all sorts of sizes and shapes and how diverse we are is a huge part of that support for us in this community who are working through that.
Yeah.
We spoke to Kerry Athanasiou, she's a stylist, the other day about how the work she does supports it as well. It can be world-changing for people as well to see somebody in a size that looks like them wearing something that looks fun. Yeah. And comfortable and even sexy. And you go, oh, I can wear that then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Like to 1,000%. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, maybe that'll work on me. It seems to look okay on her. Maybe I
Yeah.
have a shot with this.
Yeah. And anybody who's been through any sort of thing around your body and your image and your identity, to have a space where you can feel like you belong and go, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Maybe okay, what's the return policy?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Loving that. Yeah, so if you're not actually saying, it sounds like Kholo is the project for the moment. You've also got travel plans. But what's the next thing for Kholo then? Is there something that's coming up that you'd like us to know about?
To be really honest, like I've always seen it as just growth.
Yeah.
In the sense of, sure, you have more reach, more platform. But now I'm at this point where I know this might sound odd given the context of the question, but I realized that it's about my growth. It's about I reckon it's my spiritual evolution, because I feel like that then leads to how it manifests IRL. So I just don't know what layers are going to unlock. Like I literally dropped an audio note to a friend and I was like, it's the give up. It's the surrender point. And once you reach that, you open a whole new paradigm where you're like, I said to her, this is amazing, because I've reached this point now where I'll literally have a voice in my head, which is go for it. I remember end of last year, we had these cotton jacquard fabric and I was thinking, what should I make? And I was like, should I do the shorty button down? And I was like, it's short. I don't know if it's going to sell. Because like previously, most of our audience would only want maxi length. And I was like, okay, if that's what you prefer. And then this voice in my head was like, do it, it'll sell. Literally, we were selling at least 1 or 2 per day. And that helped me so much with cash flow. So now I feel, what if I work with that intuitive knowing? And I'm like thinking right now, I'm like, am I in a place where I can lock in someone to come into the warehouse 3 days a week and just palm that whole responsibility over? But it's scary for me because, mate, that's commitment. And up until now, I've gotten away with no solid commitment in terms of staffing, where everyone's happy to work for me casually. But I do realize I need quite a structured role at the warehouse. And the voice in my head is like, do it, the money will come. Just trust. And now I'm just like, to me, I know this might sound really woo-woo, but I feel like that's my level up. Everything like is a follow-on from that. Of course, you run the ads, you get the buyers, you keep dropping stuff. That's all good. But I'm like, what if I start working alongside my intuition? And where is that going to take me? I just feel like that's a new frontier for me. Like I've seen little glimmers of it, and now I'm fully in alignment. I'm like, go, let's go. Like I trust it now. So yeah, I just feel like, I know that sounds so woo for this kind of chat, but I'm really honest. Like you asking a question that would be the real answer.
That's even wonderful. And as you say, full alignment. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
But there is actually a business model called Presencing or Theory U, but it was developed by a guy from MIT, or him and his team, Otto Schwammer. That can't be right.
I'm going to make a note. How do you spell it?
Otto, the book is called Presencing, or if you look at Theory U with a U, and it's all about this idea of going through problem solving through you, change you.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's that idea of the first start of Presencing is about letting go.
Yes.
All about letting go.
Oh my God.
And you move through it in the steps of having an open mind.
Yes.
So you are open to new ideas, but it's all about listening and presencing. So you're coming to a presence with what the issue is, or a presence with what the energy is around this thing.
Yeah.
So you do it through open mind, open heart, and willing to be with uncomfortable emotions or whatever the emotional states are, and that feeling connection, and then open will, being willing to do things differently.
Wow.
Mind, so thinking, feeling, and what your body's going to do. And then you get to a point at the bottom of the U, which is where they call it let go, let come, which is where you're letting go, the surrender, and you're letting come something new. And then to climb up the other side of the U, it's not like you just jump there and everything. You move through it again on a very iterative feeling, sensing process of crystallizing your ideas. We'll just try it out. So one dress.
Yeah.
And then you prototype it and you might take a little bit further. And then eventually you create a new way of being. And I fell in love with this theory 10, 15 years ago and have been teaching it as well without perhaps fully understanding it myself. Yeah. But I do know that feeling of occasionally, yes, your inner self knows to do.
Yeah.
Your inner self knows, that looks risky, but
it'll be okay.
It'll be okay. And they're leaps of faith, but in some ways they're also like, this feels so much less risky than letting my head work this out.
Yeah, true.
Just going with that felt sense, going with this work because I feel okay with it rather than making all your decisions with your head.
Yeah.
So, I understand what you're saying, although I sometimes feel like I don't have those connections so often as I would like to have them, because you can't force them. And as you say, spiritual practice of yoga and meditation, particularly meditation and quieting the mind and allowing yourself to be with what is and not trying to fix or change, does also allow for the messages to get through that your body is probably trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And your heart is trying to tell you, and you're just going to quieten down and let the noise drop away. Yeah. So I fully support this journey. I think it's wonderful and is very aligned with what I try and work with clients and say,
oh, cool.
You're just going to find that image or that thing that lets you know you're on the right path.
Yeah.
And then what you're doing is what you do. It's going to change and mix up and what have you. But as long as it feels good,
yes,
it probably is. So, if this is what feels like the next iteration, and I'd say go for it. You'll work it out. I know you will. Yeah.
Can you imagine if I was talking to investors and they're like, where do you see the business going in the next 2-3 years? I was like,
saying, this is your deep knowing of the market. This is everything you've learned about the market is telling you that this is the next step. Yeah. This is your experiments at this level are showing you that. And you can translate it into logic talk.
Yes.
But it's harder to do it the other way.
Yeah. I think it was about a month ago when I thought, I need to move things. I'm going to really mark them down. And I had it was almost like no one touched anything. Yeah. And then a couple of weeks later, I think Miriam's my staff. She said to me, she goes, Karishma, I know what you earn, because when I did a 10-day meditation retreat, she paid all my bills. So she goes, you want to live a life better than that. You're allowed to charge more for what you do, and you're not doing that. And she was really gentle about it. I'm probably articulating it different, but it was like, yeah. And then suddenly it was like I looked at the prices and I was like, how much would you charge for that if you knew Karishma touched it? If you knew Karishma designed it and that was the energy she was bringing to it? Changed all the pricing. I just bumped it up. I was like, no, this is lovely. To be in the feeling of this, that's an incredible feeling. This is what I feel I'd be happy with to receive, rather than receiving with resentment that, I didn't get that much. And literally I saw sales come in and I was like, that is an energy change. It's not about the number. And I told my mom and I was like, Mom, I had this little chat with my God, and they were like, yeah, go for it. And then it was interesting. My older sister, who's a radiologist, comes from a really logic perspective. And she goes, people want to spend money on value. They feel happier. And it was so interesting that she had the logic to support it. I had the intuition to support it. We're both saying the same thing, but it was really beautiful to be like, you can rationally express something, but also it was almost like the universe speaking to me. When I bumped up the price, within half an hour, I got a sale. And I was like, I've never seen a dialogue so fast. Saying, trust, we got you, take the risk, you take the risk. And then within half an hour, told you so.
Yeah. I was hanging on to a job in government. That told the story a bit. And I was meant to go for a promotion.
Yeah.
And I went for it, didn't get it. And I've had the call from the recruiter saying, and I was really I'd primed this promotion. I'd made moves to get it. And I really thought this was going to be my next step in government, blah, blah. And I didn't get it. And the recruiter was being very nice to me on the phone. And the overwhelming feeling I was having as he was talking to me was relief.
Oh, yeah.
And not just relief, but I had a physical unknotting in my back. The shoulder muscles that my yoga teacher said I've spent so long trying to get those to unlock. And I went, oh, they just happened in this phone call. And it was like release, like you are now free. And the voice in my head was, oh, thank God, we don't have to do that job.
Wow.
And you can go and do something else. And shortly after that, I was offered a redundancy. We were restructuring, what have you done. I went in and I said to my boss, I'm not going to reapply for my job. I'm going to do this instead. And she went, oh, that's a bugger, because now I have to get somebody else to do it. But I understand.
Yeah.
And I walked out going, I have nothing. I have nothing. I have nothing now. That's not a very big redundancy. I really have nothing. And I walked back into my office and I got a phone call from somebody saying, I've heard on the grapevine that you're available for work. Wow. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And she said, yeah, I just need somebody 3 days a week to do this. Oh, no, she said, I need somebody to do this. And I said, can I do it 3 days a week? And she said, yeah, sure, that's fine. And I was like, okay, done. And so it was just exactly as you said. Once you said, actually, I'm going to do something. This path has ended. I'm going to go this way. Yeah. Something did pop up. And it doesn't always work that way, but and I could justify that quite logically. Yeah. But it was also a nice feeling of actually your body knows, your heart knows.
Oh, your body knows. Don't tell me.
Your body knows. Yeah. Oh, God. And whenever I go back into government and I have to put the corporate clothes on and the shoes, and I just go, oh, no, I just don't anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I've reached a place of I refuse. I refuse to do this. I don't want to do this. That's it. I'm done.
I'm not doing it. I teach people who are now working in government, and I'm fine with that because I think I have things I could share and help them, support them. But I just, And it's really interesting when you run your own business, particularly because you can live so much of your life in fear.
Yeah, 100%.
When the car is not there. It
can be all consuming. I don't think I could have done this if I was in my marriage.
Yeah.
It's because I've left it. I don't have to worry about someone second guessing me. Me second guessing me is enough. Yeah. So if I were to be really honest, I think being aware of what energy is that other person bringing. And also I've learned something recently is to stay sovereign in your own energy. So say, for example, if I say to you, I love your lips, like they look so beautiful. Now that's going to feel really uplifting. And you're going to probably remember that. It's true, right? For the rest of the day, it's also truth. But also if someone gives you the opposite or gives you an eyebrow raise when you put the lipstick on, you're going to carry that with you through the day. And you're going to be like, oh, they don't like it. That I'm not so sure. And I'm learning now that needs to be irrelevant from my internal compass. Even if I do get a partner and I end up being with someone, I can't carry their vibration. So let alone their dialogue, their verbal expression, but the energetic vibrations for whatever they're feeling. I'm like, that's not on me, that's on you. But to be able to have that distinction where I'm not absorbing that anymore. To say, no, this is me in my fullness and it's perfectly fine. And I'm bouncing off that rather than receiving it. I suspect that the reason why I'm also separated was to go through that lesson, to learn to stay in my sovereignty. That's been massive for me. Like I look at couples who do it and I'm like, they must have their own dynamics for how they deal around that. Because I think a partner can be so influential. Yeah. I know mine was for me. There was one time he looked at me and he said to me, and he had a double master's in finance. So he had 2 masters. And he said to me, I just don't know how this is going to work. And I think he probably had no idea. He might have just been expressing his concerns or where he was at. But the doubt that put in me, because I didn't believe in myself enough already, that would have been quite crushing for me. And I didn't know it at the time. And like just learning from, okay, that's not the best thing to say. Yeah, I think being wary of that other, and it doesn't have to be a partner. It could be a friend. It could be your mum. I went to New Zealand for the wedding and my mum was like, oh, I'm not sure about the curly hair. And I realized how impacted I was by a passing comment that I straightened my hair, freaking hated it. I'm like, why have I done this? And like my mum, she had no malice. She was just off the cuff saying something gently, not realizing that I'm already in doubt about, I know what it means to be an Indian at a wedding. But yeah, they don't get it. They're like, this is messy. So it's like bringing up childhood trauma where aunties come and they're like, you should brush your hair. But I regretted it. I loved everything else about the wedding, but my own stupid decision not to accept myself. I'm just like, oh, I can't carry other people's vibrations now. I have to be so strong that I'm like, nah, what I'm doing is good enough. Who I am is good enough.
Yeah, we talk about boundaries and how they are an act of self-compassion. Kirsten Neff, talking about self-compassion, but then she's also started talking about this idea of fierce self-compassion, which is boundary, self-advocacy, speaking up for yourself. Yeah. All those parts of supporting yourself, but is there a way of holding that's not combative?
Yes.
It's not taking energy. It's just a way of being that is, as you say, your own sovereignty, your own self. Well, we could talk for a long time, but let's wrap it up for now, and maybe we'll get you back at another time. Please, listeners, check out Kholo the Label on Instagram. It's always a good time. And the website is KHOLO, and you'll find just glorious patterns and colour and embroidery and just clothes you want to wear. And once you put them on, oh, God, they feel good. And I just urge you to check it out and see what the day might be like if you stepped out in something a bit bright and adventurous. And thank you so much for being part of the journey of Aligned and Thriving.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So best of luck with everything. What's your next event or something that we can look forward to? Okay.
Like, girl. No, really. Like, I have nothing in the pipeline, nothing planned, just like new drops all the time. So definitely new clothes every 2 weeks-ish. I've got a black dress coming up with mirror work at the bottom. I just have to check the pattern today. And you'll see it go live in a week or two.
Oh, watch out for that. Watch out for that. Kholo goes size 6 to 26. That's a lot of people. So thank you for that too. All right. Take care. And we'll look forward to seeing you at some other point. And for the listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't miss a single episode, so subscribe to Aligned and Thriving now to unlock a world of inspiration and practical strategies. And if you have subscribed, why not check out our IG account or join our community to navigate your own way to a happier and healthier working life.